Folks, what's going on? Heir of Carthage here, and I'm going to be bringing you a tournament replay. Yeah, this one's going to be a good one. Player that I've known for quite a while, and then another player who's kind of a legend in the Warhammer multiplayer scene, so pretty excited about it. So on this side, we're going to have Prussian Prince repping BRETONNIA, and he is newer to the Warhammer scene, but he's been around for a long time in the Total War scene and is an experienced player for strategy and Total War. So should be fun to see him playing here. And I think this is the Death or Dishonor. Here, let me make sure I get the tournament name right. It's Death Before Dishonor Season 4, Number 3, hosted by a Rubber Duck of War. I will have links in the description if you want to go see more about the tournament or to see where he's cast the finals on his own YouTube channel. Want to make sure that you all know about that, but this was a replay that was sent in via Prussian Prince on my Discord, so appreciate him sending it over. So Soothsayer is going to be a tough player, and he is rocking Norska. And his build with Norska doesn't surprise me, considering he's coming up against BRETONNIA. He's got a front line of Berserkers, one of which is the Icehorn Marauders here. He's got several units of Fimir Warriors, a Fimir Balefiend, Lord of Shadows, which is going to have Enfeebling Foe and Pendulum. And then there is a number of Berserkers, and just one unit of Ice Wolf Chariots. And then you're going to have Wulfrik on his giant mammoth mount with Hunter of Champions and his ship. I can't ever remember the name of his ship. I would just call it the Viking ship. Here, I'll get the actual name of it. Sea Fang, that's it. I knew it had a name, a proper name that I was forgetting. Anyway, so that is the Norska build from Soothsayer. And honestly, that's a pretty decent anti-BRETONNIA build. BRETONNIA doesn't have great answers to a lot of the stuff that he's got there. Marauders are just going to trounce pretty much all BRETONNIan infantry. Fimir Warriors for going after the cavalry, so a solid build. Lore of Shadows is always a good thing. Enfeebling Foe, Pendulum, just good go-to spells that can help you get a lot of value quick. Now, for Prussian Prince, his front line is going to consist of Spearmen at Arms, and then there's going to be a bunch of Battle Pilgrims. They're unbreakable and should give his guys a little more time in combat before they get chewed up by potentially superior Norscan foes like Berserkers, or even though they're not here, something like Marauder Champions. There are two Peasant Bowmen, and then as far as cavalry goes, we have some Knights Errant and the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis, and then a Questing Knight and a Companion of Kinel Questing Knight, which also has a bonus versus large. And then as for the Leadership Corps, it's actually the Fay Enchantress, Gotrek and Felix. So I guess the Enchantress was down at the pub, found a couple of new friends, and brought them to battle. And, of course, with her kind of Mortis Engine and healing effects, and then Felix healing those around him, and then the anti-large of Gotrek, it will make this a very interesting core of the army. If the Fae is in battle, she does damage to nearby units, almost like a Mortis Engine, but I guess a nice Fae Mortis Engine. She's a cool lord for BRETONNIA. Haven't seen her as much in recent times, but I would assume that she's still potentially viable lord for BRETONNIA because of her healing and the Mortis Engine effect. Now here we're going to see initially a charge here by the Norscan forces led by the Mammoth. The Knights are going to try and help hunt the charge a little, but it is going to be a heavy charge, and one that's going to hurt anywhere that the Knights can't stop it, and so that's exactly why Prussian Prince positioned these units very close. His Knights were able to block a lot of the charges for Norska. Immediately there was a Sea Fang attack, and it hit this archer unit really well, in fact, so it's very well placed by Soothsayer, and you can see the battle gets underway, and you can already see the Fae. Anytime you kind of see that little white mist coming down like that, that is her Mortis Engine effect. It is chipping away hit points. But speaking of chipping away hit points, except not so much chipping as chunking hit points off of things, that is going to be Wulfrik and his Mammoth. Though the Fae answers with a little bit of Awakening of the Wood here to slow things down, do a little bit of damage to lower armor troops. So you can see that there is a pretty brutal fight ensuing here. A Pendulum just misses its mark right here. You can see just how close it was. Did a little bit of damage on the edge, but almost a very, very devastating Pendulum. A Chalice of Potions landing here on the Marauders, and their Fimir Warriors didn't do a ton of damage, but I mean, you got to get that in, and it did hit. Back here, some Berserkers have broken past a Battle Pilgrim and managed to help rout the archers. And the Ice Wolf Chariot will be back there soon. You can see Balefiend kind of just sitting back, biding his time. There's no reason for him to rush into melee. And you can see that Norska is really trying to kind of clear up any stragglers here. Going to have some Knights Errant and Questing Knights that regrouped out on the flank. They will be finding their way back in. There's more Knights Errant here. Wulfrik is just difficult to deal with. He deals so much armor-piercing damage, and it splashes really good off that Mammoth. And anti-large, which he is not, he kind of still is. Just depends on the situation. Against the Bretonnian cavalry like this, he's going to do just fine. I mean, if he singled himself out and got debuffed kind of hard in the midst of a Companion of Kinel, yeah, sure, he would take a lot of damage. But really, even a unit like the Companion of Kinel can't alone pull something down like these Mammoths. It takes a lot more than that. Let's get in here. Another Pendulum coming across the Bretonnian troops here. So Soothsayer unrelenting in his Lore of Shadows assault on the Bretonnians. And here comes Seafang for yet another run, this time taking a small chunk of the Companion of Kinel with him. Nothing too major, but it was a slight hit there. See the Wolf Chariots and Berserkers coming in here, and then Wulfrik slamming the door on these Bretonnian troops that got caught out here. Khmer Warriors are just a really nice tool. Really nice tool for Norska. I like Norska. Norska is, like, I don't play a ton of online battles, but when I do 1v1s, Norska is probably one of the factions that I can do fairly well with on a fairly consistent basis. They are a solid faction. Bretonnia, on the other hand, is a faction that I avoid because I just don't have the skill level to play Bretonnia. They are certainly not a top-tier faction. They're a decent faction. In the right hands, they can be used pretty well in certain matchups. But in a matchup like this, I know I would struggle against Norska, and you're seeing Prussian Prince here doing his best to make a game of it. He's got a lot of his troops regrouping, and he's going to try and swing them out of the hands of these ever-so-loving Khmer warriors who wish to smash them with hammers. And Wulfrik, who's ready to ride him down as a sacrifice to the Chaos Gods. But yeah, anyway, you can see Prussian Prince pulling his troops together here. Felix and Gotrek still supporting the Fay. That's going to be where most of the power is in this army, but the Fay does have to be careful. She could pretty quickly get savaged by any number of units here. Balefiend, Khmer warriors, and she does get hit by the Hunter of Champions here, and you can see Wulfrik is definitely wanting to take advantage of it. The Hunter of Champions is a pretty heavy debuff, and honestly, Fay was lucky to not take more damage than she did right there with her speed debuffed. It's almost like the Mammoth was just hungry for Bretonnian peasants and pushed on through momentarily, but you can see the Fay is getting knocked around in a very heavyweight fight. And I wouldn't call her a heavyweight, especially since she floats above the ground. See, though, when she does get into combat, she is going to be taking some hit points away, but she can't stay in this kind of combat. Her Chalice of Potions comes crashing down, and she's attempting to heal and help the heroes who are still supporting her. She's got Gotrek, she's got Felix, and they are causing a fair bit of damage, but the routing units are going to be chased off by Wulfrik and more Khmer warriors, while Prussian Prince does a noble job of trying to remove these Khmer warriors from the battlefield. You can see here comes some rear charges from the cavalry. Be well placed to try and finish these guys off. Khmer warriors pack some heavy armor, and it is difficult sometimes to get an easy rout on them. You would certainly have to have the right units in the right place. Probably one of the best things to do to Mammoths and Khmer warriors is something that Bretonnia can't do at all, which is handguns. So I would say that handguns are going to be pretty effective. Now, Bretonnia does have access to a lot of peasant bows, and peasant bows can do damage to Wulfrik if given the time. Your challenge is going to be protecting them. Norska has lots of speedy and high mass assets that make it very difficult to protect bowmen. So Prussian Prince obviously limited the number of picks here for bowmen and brought other means of anti-large, including Gotrek. And I like the addition of Felix. It's going to keep these leaders healed and make them much more difficult to dump on for Wulfrik. And you can see Wulfrik does have to be careful. He can't just come in here willy-nilly and sit around trying to take out all three of these. Gotrek will deliver an absolute shellacking on Wulfrik if he could get Wulfrik to stand still. But obviously, throwing around this kind of mass and having the speed, it makes Wulfrik hard to pin down. There is no net ability or anything that's going to get Wulfrik to be still and just get him to agree to take the beating. Not going to do it. So you're going to see Norska basically chase off some Bretonnian remnants. We're going to fast forward a bit. Fight's about to continue here. Some Berserkers came back that had regrouped and were thrown in. They were quickly dispatched, but the real fight in the end here is about to begin. That's going to be Gotrek and Felix. This time Felix takes the Hunter of Champions, and Wulfrik comes in, and he is going to land a blow that is going to very badly hurt Felix. You can see Fay attempting to heal the whole thing, and we'll take a look here. Look at the hit that Felix took there. He got savaged by Wulfrik. Absolutely savage. Gotrek is really still the only healthy one here, but I kind of like the play by Soothsayer when you're in these situations. Work on Felix, work on the Fay. Those two units are easier to take out. If you focused all your effort on Gotrek, he's just getting healed. And if you sit there and focus on him, it also gives him a chance to land hits. And I'll bet you that Gotrek can darn near kill Premier Warriors in one hit at times, if not sometimes. So, I mean, using the Premier Warriors to tie him down while Wulfrik tries to take care of business, along with the Ice Wolves, good plan. Those two units are actually going to get terror routed here when they get hit in the back by the chariot and their leadership can't hold together. That leaves just Gotrek, and I guess Gotrek in the realm of Total War Warhammer 2 at least is certainly not used to being left, or is totally used to being left on his own. It's a position he finds himself in frequently, as a lot of times the best strategy for dealing with Gotrek is leaving him to the very end, and then simply overwhelming him without support. Look how quickly, though, he can sit here and cut down Premier Warriors. That's why this little Dawe is not to be underestimated. If he has a means of holding you still, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. But, I mean, what means does he have to hold a mammoth still? But if anything here, I'm assuming that Gotrek is at least partly happy that Wulfrik is allowing him to die a Slayer's death and be killed in combat against a huge and beastly foe, which I think is what Gotrek was seeking all the while. So Prussian Prince won't be able to pull off the victory here. Norska is going to finish the deal. Gotrek, in fact, is kind of on his last legs here. You can see how well he was doing. But yeah, once the Mammoth starts pushing him around, he just can't get any hits in. Against the Famir Warriors, where he was on his feet at some points, he's obviously going to do pretty well. But yeah, get in there against the Mammoths. Not going to be pretty. Wulfrik coming in pretty MVP here for the Norskins. And, I mean, that is just kind of how Wulfrik is. But the support is really good from the Famir Warriors with great weapons. These guys cause massive anti-large, armor-piercing damage, a good answer to Bretonnian cavalry, and they were able to help contain the Bretonnian cavalry throughout and support Wulfrik. Nice support from the Shadow Sorcerer, some cheap infantry mixed with some more solid infantry. Did what it needed to do against Bretonnia and then some. Bretonnia fighting that uphill struggle here. Pick up Battle Pilgrims is an interesting one. Obviously, they're going to lose to stuff like Berserkers, but it does buy you time and make the fight take longer, and that can certainly come in as an advantage for this Lord combo here that Prussian Prince has. They need time to do some damage, and that type of thing could help buy them that time. Cheap spears, hard to pass that up. The archers attempted to do what they could. They were firing on Wulfrik, but were silenced as some of the units got overwhelmed, blocking the Famir charges and stuff, because obviously they could level the Bretonnian line in seconds, and so the cavalry had to support there. In the end, not able to pull it off, but I appreciate Prussian Prince sending this one through. He's a good player. You also check out his YouTube channel too. I'll have it linked. Plays some campaign and stuff on there. I've watched his Emmerich campaign. He does a good job. And he's been making videos for a long time. So, and I think he plays other strategy games as well. So if you have any interest in any other strategy games, he's definitely got a lot of talent as a player in the strategy realm. And clearly Soothsayer does as well. Someone we've seen win big tournaments before. So taking on a big name there and putting up a fun fight. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Thanks to both the players. Appreciate Prussian Prince sending this one in. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will be back soon with some more Total War Warhammer 2 action for you.